but it's a natural gas plant that's being proposed to be in Superior, Wisconsin on the waterways. And luckily we have people here who have taken it upon themselves to create organizations and to start creating roadblocks to that. So I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Lee. Will you be speaking first, Lee? Okay, so then you can introduce the other two. Lee, Sandok Baker, really proud to be able to offer what they're doing to you all because we can learn a lot from their efforts and we can help them. So go for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. I hope you can hear me. I tried to pick a spot that had good internet ability out here. I'm on the shore of the Nemadji River at one of the 3 public water accesses here within less than a mile from the proposed site of the NTEC plant. Over my shoulder here, you can see this bluff, and that is the proposed site. It's a clay bluff that is actively eroding into the Nemadji River. And next to that, so a little bit closer towards me, on the bank of the river is a mass burial ground where about 200 members of the Fond du Lac Band of Ojibwe were disinterred from lakes from Wisconsin Point, and then buried here for a proposed ore dock about 100 years ago. And they were basically just placed on the very edge of the river next to 2 of our St. Francis Cemetery and the Nemadji Cemetery. But they're just placed right on the side of the river and have been eroding back into the river since then. So directly on the border, shares the property line with the proposed site of the NTEC project. Up the hill from me here, once you get past the cemetery, we've got residential neighborhoods just within about 3/4 of a mile of the proposed site of the plant. So I kind of wanted to come down and just give a really short, give you kind of acclimated to what this area is like. Like I said, I'm on one of the 3 public water accesses here on the Nemadji. I've had a few people drive down and turn around, probably hoping to fish here, and then saw me standing here currently doing a news report. So I live within a mile of where this plant is proposed to go. I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Douglas County and a member of the organization called Neighbors Against NTEC. And I am going to pass it off to my co-president of League of Women Voters and also a neighbor against NTEC, Christina Kintop, to talk a little bit more about how things really got rolling here at the beginning of this year. So Christina, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you for being on those beautiful shores of Nemadji. Fun fact, I grew up in the trailer court right up over Lee's left shoulder, I believe it is. I caught my first fish right at that landing Lee is standing at. As Lee said, I am Christina Kintop. I am the co-president with Lee of the League of Women Voters, and we are a newly reorganized chapter for our area. The League hadn't been around for several years, and in December, Lee and I jumped in and said, I'll do it if you do it. And by January, we were approached by some friends of ours, neighbors, people with concerns about the proposed gas plant being put on our lovely shore of the Nemadji River there. And we said, yes, we can do this. We barely had any officers. I think we had 12 members strong, and we decided to put on 2 educational forums in February. We had over 100 participants online and in person. And on the 2 days, we met 2 of the people that have been instrumental in starting and organizing the Neighbors Against NTEC. You'll hear from Lynn here in a second. In fact, the way I met Lynn is I had seen some of her posts on social media regarding her thoughts on NTEC. And I said, I don't know if this is weird or not. I messaged her privately. You don't know me, but I would really like for you to come to our forum. You seem to be very knowledgeable. And she said, nope, not weird at all. And I'll be there. So at the end of the second day, we just said, hey, you know, there's a lot of people with some really great ideas. Let's combine some forces and let's see if we can't figure something out. The following Saturday, 3 days later, there was 8 people that met and got together and formed the Neighbors Against NTEC. And I honestly could be on here for a long time talking about how fast things moved. We were organized. We decided to not reinvent the wheel, to really lean in and use the forces that we had already that were kind of backing us. So we really leaned into Clean Wisconsin, Healthy Climate Wisconsin, Progress North up here helped out. We got a lot of help from the League of Women Voters of Ashland, Bayfield County. And we just started, and Sierra Club. And we got signs and we started knocking on doors and getting petitions. And before you know it, we have definitely put up some roadblocks, which I think they were a little surprised by. We attended several city council meetings, signs in hand, and we got the Plan Commission to support the 2040 City Planning Commission that they had put together, which NTEC needed them to vacate a public street and rezone a residential to industrial area. And the Plan Commission voted to not do that. Moving forward to the City Council decided to back Plan Commission's recommendations. And we've got a lot of other little kind of irons in the fire, and I believe Lynn will present that. So that's kind of a little back history on how things got going. Again, it was like 0 to 120 in no time flat.
Before you toss to Lynn, I just wanted to include Wisconsin Network for Peace and Justice and the generous donations that they made that helped us make signs and banners and all the things possible. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss out, since that's why we're here. So
yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Good call, Lee. Yes, we did get financial support from Progress North, Sierra Club, and Wisconsin Peace Network for Peace and Justice. And with that financial support, we were able to purchase signs, large signs, yard signs, lots of flyers, some mailers. So yes, without the financial support of those 3 organizations, it would have been really hard to do the work we did. So thank you for that. Good catch, Lee. So I were co-presidents. So from there, I will pass it on to our wonderful Lynn, who no longer thinks I'm a weirdo for messaging her out of nowhere. And she will take it from there.
Yeah. Hi, thank you so much. Yeah. No, I was really relieved actually when I got that message from Christina, because I had been I felt like a lone voice on this Facebook page where the pro gas plant people were using this public forum to promote it, talk badly about the people who were against it. And that's how I just started fighting with them online. So who says, that you can't get nothing out of online engagement, because it really does work. But I'm going to share my screen too. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of the project itself, and then just talk briefly again about what we did to combat this gas plant in Superior. So I'm going to share my screens. Hopefully this works. Ooh, is that working? I'm giving you the wrong thing here. Let's do this. How's that look? Is that okay? All right, so I'm gonna pull this up here. So that's us, Neighbors Against NTEC. We are a grassroots organization, and we are about as grassroots as it gets. We've been working to fight this proposed gas plant in Superior. So I'm just gonna dive in if it'll let me. Okay. So NTEC, it's Nemadji Trail Energy Center. And, this is a sign that you would have seen around the Twin Ports for years, literally years. The project was first proposed in 2017. And the labor unions have put up these signs all around town. But if you had asked the average citizen around the Twin Ports, like what NTEC is, up until very, very recently, I would say most had no idea, or they would be like, oh, is that like a trail or something? Sadly, no. The Nemadji Trail Energy Center is a 625 megawatt combined cycle gas plant that would add 3 million tons of carbon to the environment yearly, in addition to the ozone, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxides, and particulate matters. This is a bad deal. It's a huge gas plant on that beautiful site that Lee was just at. The labor unions have come out in support of this because of the jobs. They claim up to 350 temporary jobs. The numbers are kind of like wild and loose on that. What we do know is the permanent jobs would be between about 20 to 25 at most. In exchange, you would get yearly pollution for at least another 40 years, probably longer. The project has been proposed by Minnesota Power and Elite in Duluth, along with Wisconsin's Dairyland Cooperative. Another North Dakota company is involved in now, but those were the two main brokers in the beginning. The location, Lee's showing you what it looks like. Here is a map of the area right at the center. I don't know if you can see that little factory right here. But that's where it would be. You'll notice this is Aloise Bay down here. It is one of the top sites in the Great Lakes systems for breeding of birds, marshland birds. It's also, as Lee mentioned, near an indigenous mass cemetery, either on or near it. We're not really sure because they didn't take good records when they reburied these indigenous tribal members. You'll also notice there are literally thousands of people living in this area within this 3-mile radius, which the EPA identifies as your environmental justice zone, where people would bear the brunt of the cancer risks and things of that nature. But make no mistake, this pollution spreads hundreds of miles, and people throughout this Twin Ports area will be experiencing really rather large increases in pollution and air pollution toxins. This NTEC is part of a global story that is happening right now because governments have been putting limits on carbon levels, focusing on the carbon levels, which are important, obviously, for climate change, but they've been not regulating methane. And so industry being what it is, hugely looking for the huge profits, has been putting in these gas plants globally. And you'll notice on this graph, like, hey, US, we're number one. We are busy building and proposing these new gas plants. But this is a huge problem for climate change. The stakes are enormous. Climate change, methane is a climate warming bomb. It's 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide at trapping heat. It takes as little as 0.2% of this gas to leak to make so-called natural gas, which is really just marketing. We try not to call it natural because it's not. To make gas as large as a driver of climate change as coal. And gas leaks all the time. There's never been a project that has released only 0.2%. So when people say that this is some kind of transition to renewables, which is what the industry loves to say, they're lying. They're absolutely lying. The stakes are also extremely high locally. According to the Rocky Media Institute, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan institute that studies market-driven solutions to climate change, Douglas County, if this goes in, will see healthcare impacts between 800,000 and 1.8 million a year. That because we'll see more asthma, more cardiovascular disease, more neurodegenerative diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's, and higher rates of cancer. The data is just really clear on the correlations and causations between increased air quality or increased air pollution and all of these diseases. Like, you can look this up. The industry tries to deny this all the time, but then all you have to do is look at the data, and the science is really clear. They also, like I mentioned, they love to talk about natural gas as some kind of transition to renewables, but it is absolutely not. It is marketing at its best. There is again, there's just tons of data that talk about how it is actually a distraction from moving to a clean energy solution. National labs and universities have lots of data and research that shows we don't need new gas plants to maintain affordable, reliable power, even with new demand. They love to talk about these energy centers and crypto centers and the coal retiring. We don't need new gas. Instead, we do need these new renewable projects to come online with battery storage. We need flex customer demand. We definitely need updates to the grid. That is going to be contentious because new grids are an issue. And then better coordination between the different regional energy production. These things are hard, but they are not insurmountable by any means, and we don't need to keep polluting our environment to do this. So with all of that said, a lot of the forces that be want this project in. You know, what do? Well, you fight back, right? Like Lee and Christina said, there was the League of Women Voters had their health forum in February, and our group just went from 0 to 80. We were just hit the ground running. So we did informational events, we did door-to-door knocking, petitions, yard signs. We put up a public Facebook group, a private Facebook group. The private one, we were really focusing on rallying people to different causes because we couldn't go too public because we definitely had people trying to for lack of a better word, infiltrate and wanting to kind of protest what we were doing as well, counter protesting to what we were doing. So like I said, the League of Women Voters was the beginning, but we needed people to get more informed. So we did all these tabling sessions. We were at the Superior Public Library. We went to the Charlie Parr concert with his permission. He was on board with this. The St. Louis River Summit. We got the flyers distributed thanks to generous donors. We got signatures and just let people know that we are here. So some pictures. This is on the left is Rebecca Kelleher. She is our founding member of Neighbors Against NTEC. And there's Lee on the right at the library and reading some signatures there. It was really helpful because it was just starting to get people more aware of this project beyond those little blue "We Support NTEC" signs. We also started attending the Plan Commission meetings and the City Council meetings. We came with our signs. We made sure we were in the front row, and we were prepared. We had you get 3 minutes to speak, and we were prepared. All of our speeches were written, prepared, practiced. I found that to be really key. It helped win over members of the public because we're so well researched. We knew what we were talking about. The opposition often came unprepared, kind of rambling, same message over and over again about this is jobs, jobs, jobs. And then we could always counter with a lot of points about why these temporary jobs were not worth it. We also really made sure that after the opposition had signed up to speak for the night, that we went back with at least 1 or 2 other people and signed up at the very end, so that our voice was always ringing at the end in the city councilor and plan commission members. It's really important to make sure your point of view is the one that they are left with hearing. So we started getting media attention doing this. We contacted them, but they also started contacting us, the radio, local news and newspapers, or TV news and newspapers. So we started getting some traction that way. And when that happened, we started getting more attention from the labor unions and other people who were pro-plant. So there was more people coming to these meetings and fighting back against us. We did have a public rally in front of the Douglas County Courthouse before one of the big meetings. I took these pictures, and once it started really going, I stopped taking pictures. So the media was there, and there was like pro and against, and I forgot to take pictures. So we had a really good turnout, and these pictures do not do justice to the number of people that were actually there that day. So this was like right at the beginning, and then things got really kind of crazy, but in a good way. And then we did have our win. So at the April 3 City Council meeting, the members voted, well, a little bit of government ease there, but they didn't change the Plan Commission's decision to not vacate the area, the streets that were needed for building this plant. So we had a win. Utility has pretty much promised to take the city to court over this, but really a wonderful thing to happen in that local fighting back against this huge corporation. What's next? We were trying to keep interest high as the utilities continue to seek federal and state approvals. We had a really cool site visit in early May with really high turnout. Various people came, spoke about what was going on at this. This is another view of the cemetery where Lee is at. It's on the other side here. So spoke about all the things that were happening. We're gonna have events like a tomato plant, not gas plant, at Wild State Cider in Duluth on Monday, and there'll be some other events over the summer. And then we're also asking people to ask the USDA to not approve the federal loan, and I'll have a link up in just a second. But as you can see, it takes a village. This is us at the end here, and actually this is like a small amount. Some people already left by this time, but we really did get a good turnout. And once people started realizing like, oh, this could really hurt my daughter's health, this will not create permanent jobs beyond the 20. This is going to hurt the wetlands. Once people really realized what this was, more and more people just started coming over and being willing to help us out. So good information really makes a difference. So your voice, I'll put up the link. There is two things going on, but I think easy one is telling the USDA loan. There's a letter from the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy. You just plug in your name. Wisconsin Coastal Management is also accepting comments. It's a really quick form comment. There's a link there. You can put that in there as well.